Ashwin joining us live. Ashwin, the saddest part about this entire attack or series of attacks has been how each of these attacks has been caught on CCTV, at least in the last 12 to 24 hours. The two attacks have been caught on CCTV on the SDPI worker and this BJP leader, right? It's unabated and it's been going on and on and on. We've been having several discussions, debates on the subject, but the murders continue.
Absolutely, Niranjan. The ease at which criminal gang and political criminals are working in the state of Kerala is definitely a matter of concern, if not shocking. It needs to be seen that whether who was the target of political killing. Now, there seems to be a understanding that even though whether it's the CPM, the ruling left parties, or the Congress are trying to differentiate a political murder from other murders. Now, this is the problem. Now, a person who's murdered, what the immediate angle that the political parties in the state are seeing, whether it is political or not, how is it different? Now, here we see a person, a lawyer, an eminent lawyer, has been killed in broad daylight at 6:30 a.m. right inside his own home. Now, what is shocking about this fact is the matter that 6:15 a.m. The eldest daughter of Ranjit leaves for tuition, and between 6:15 a.m. and 6:45 a.m. the gang who murdered him knew exactly when the door will be opened. Now, this is something shocking that has never been seen before. It ideally means that the political opponent, the political animosity is not yet, not between somebody who is a deeply political activist. It could be anybody. That is the biggest thing, that's the biggest takeaway. When I have been reporting several incidences like this in Kerala, what is the shocking fact is the matter that a person like Ranjit, he is known to be a lawyer, a distinguished person in the Bar Council, a person who has helped every community. Despite of his political belief, he is loved and cherished by every community because he has helped people across community with getting them justice. And a person like that, who is a father of two girls, 14-year-old and 11-year-old, was killed inside his own home. And not just that, what is shocking is the fact that these killers, they even confronted his own mother, saying, like with a machete in their hand, saying that you do not talk about this to anybody else. A mother was confronted with a machete, and then this gang had definitely left. So the main take back from this is that anybody could be a target, and that the state dispensation, the law enforcement, is just being a mute spectator, and the real culprits and the conspiracy is not being finally being taken into the book, and the law is not catching up with them. That is the most fearful factor about this case. Back to you, Niranjan.
Yeah, George Kurian, who's the General Secretary and spokesperson of the Kerala BJP, joining us on the phone on the show tonight, along with Kevin Matthew, Joint Secretary, Kerala Christian Forum, and a social critic who questions the BJP. George, hours before your party leader was killed, there was an SDPI leader who was lynched, and we've got the footage of that as well. What's going on in Kerala?
Completely, this law and order is failed in Kerala. And we can see that the number of murders are more than accidental death in Kerala. I am not telling only about the political murders. Every day there are murders. Some days a political murder. The other day the girls will be killed by boys. And every day we can see this kind of murders in Kerala. And CPM and this SDPI believe in eliminating their opponents. For CPM, they are eliminating their opponents for grabbing power. But SDPI, PM, PFI, They believe that if they eliminate the opponents, they will get heaven. They can get into the heaven. That is the similarities between these two parties. And they always believe in eliminating the other parties' workers, and they think that they will win in such a way. And BJP never involved in such activities. You see, last week one CPM worker was murdered in this Tiruvalla, the same district, and 5 accused were arrested. Out of 5, 4 were CPM workers. But as it is written in the FIR that it is done by
can you
the
explain to me
BJP.
this SDPI worker, George, this
Yes.
SDPI worker who was lynched, Kevin Matthew and the left believe that the BJP or the right was behind it. Who was behind that murder? Kevin Matthew can respond to you, George.
I am appalled by the unabashed audacity of George Kurian to give this charade on national television today when 12 party members of us, including state leaders, are named in the lynching of SDP. See, what happened today is a very sad thing, and today is a sad day for the state of Kerala. I concede that. And this has to stop. This has to stop. But when George Kurian is taking this, being the political opportunist he is, what he is doing is a disservice to the society, to the state, and to the people. Because one fact that he cannot, oppose is that in every political killing that has happened in Kerala, at least in 99% of them, on one side, it is either BJP or RSS. Either one of them is getting killed or they are killing.
He's telling lie.
Come
At
on.
all India level, everybody knows that CPM is killing everybody. CPI workers are killed by CPM. CPI workers are killed by CPM. You ask CPI workers, CPI leaders, you ask. And
Sir,
Muslim League workers are killed by CPM. Congress workers are killed by CPM. BJP workers are killed by CPM. Each and every party workers in different parties, they are killed by CPM. Not by BJP or RSS. You can take the data and every day you can watch the news from Kerala. Who is killing whom?
Sir,
And the Marxist party killed 2 CPM Congress workers in Kannur.
listen to you.
Supreme Court directed the CBI to inquire about it into that. And you cannot say that. Every time the CPM is one side, not BJP or RSS.
You know, Kevin, I want to ask Kevin. I want to ask Kevin a question. You know, Kevin, in the last few days, one second, George Kurian, wait, hold on. In the last few days, Kevin, we've been looking at some hate messages, some posts about the chopper crash, and some sick, pathetic traitors and, you know, people who don't deserve to be called Indian, abusing Indian Army, abusing the CDS, Chief of Defence Staff, the late General Bipin Rawat. The kind of posts that they're putting out from the, you know, state of Kerala, and we are seeing there are a lot of them, and there is no action being taken by the state of Kerala, by the government in Kerala, right? I want to ask you, now, this is another question that I want to ask you, because while you question George Kurian, I want to ask you, what are you doing about that?
Niranjan, let me answer that, but first let me answer George Kurian today. See, when this person who came and gave out this charade, when 12 members of his own party was involved and he said BJP has no role. I'll come back to your question, but let me answer this first, please. Because I gave him a patient hearing and he doesn't have that patience to, that courtesy to return that back. So, sir, let me tell you this very clear. You take the fact, data, you look at the facts, BJP has been involved. I can't say CPM has been. I don't belong to CPM. I don't represent the CPM. But I represent an elected government. I stand for the people of the state. And in extents to an elected government here and the machinery here, because being part of the system, I speak for the system today, sir. And on ground, I know that BJP has been involved in political killings in the state, or BJP has taken a major role. And if you take the data from the last 1 year minimum, or even you take historical data, whatever, right from 1980s, even before I was born probably, I can say that BJP has been involved in more than 50% of them. So that is there. So the majority of the political killings in the state has been conducted by the BJP or BJP. And I concede, yes, there is the other side too, because you can't clap with one hand. So that is there. There has been CPM, there has been SDPI, there has been Congress. Every party, every political party has taken advantage of this. Every party has done this. I concede that, and that has to stop, because that is a sad day for the state of democracy in this country and in this state. Now, Niranjan, to your question, yes, coming from a military educational background, and more than 50% of my classmates in the defense forces with 4G people, a lot of friends in the 4G people, huge respect for the late General Rawat, may his soul rest in peace. Yes, there has been hate posts, there has been a lot of activity, truth, and action has to be taken, and it should, but we have a system here, and that should take its due course. That should take its due course, and you should question that system. Now, that shouldn't be connected to political matters. I don't see the connection here, bro. Why are you talking about apples on one side and then asking me about
No, I just wanted to ask what the state government was doing about that. I asked you, Kevin, what the state government was doing about that, because, you know, we just found it interesting that the state government did absolutely nothing about that. I just wanted to ask you a question. George.
Sir,
my next question is George. Let me ask George. George, who killed the SDPI worker? Yeah, we at Republic continue to question the PFI. We want a ban on PFI. That's an open request. You know, we've been very, very transparent on our stand on PFI. But who killed the SDPI worker? Was it the right wing?
See, police can find out who is there, who is behind that killing. Let the police find out and say. And each and every time they are telling, even if it is done by the CPM, they are telling that it is BJP. Because the clash between CPM and SDPI was going on there, the same place in Alappuzha, where the murder taken place. Let them say. And we can show the newspapers and the reports. Last 2 weeks, the clashes between CPM and SDPI was going on, the same place. And every incident, they accuse BJP about it. And each and every, these murders, he was telling the first, 90% BJP is involved. But after that, he is telling that 50% BJP is involved. Even 10% it is not involved. BJP is not involved. You can study the cases in Kerala. In both sides, sometimes both sides CPM. In the case of Sandeep, in Alappuzha, 15 days before, he was killed by CPM workers, and the case was taken against BJP workers. And it is written in the FIR that is done by BJP. In the same way, last 45 days, 3 BJP workers were killed. And in 3 cases, SPDI was behind it. Nowhere it is written that it is behind this action is SDPI. Whenever it comes to Marxist party, if they kill someone, they will write in the FIR that it is done by BJP. And in the case of SDPI kill BJP workers, never they write that. They never report that, or they mention in the FIR that it is done by SDPI. 3 workers, last 45 days, 3 workers of, important workers of BJP were killed by this PFI, and the CPM is supporting. You can see that.
Okay.
See that the CPM spokesperson is supporting SDPI. he is blaming only
Mr. George Kurian,
BJP.
can I ask
What is that? The reason behind that, I was telling that. Their theory is to eliminate their opponents.
Yeah,
Both
let's see where the story
PFI
goes.
And the CPM.
Let's see where the story goes. To both our panelists, George Kurian and Kevin Matthew, we all know what's been going on in Kerala. And even though the state tries to sort of hide the facts of what's going on, you can't deny that there have been political killings. Even the right wing cannot deny that there have been killings.